Past midnight, exhausted, Jacinta snaps a teasing mirror photo meant for her best friend. Her hand slips. It sends to Mr. Park, client. She barely remembers him. A design client. What she doesn't know, he is Bai Seungri Park, the silent head of Korea's most dangerous MAFIA syndicate. He opens it instantly. Interesting mistake. A second message buzzes. Step outside your apartment. She freezes. She never gave him her address. A black car is idling outside, waiting for her. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, let me ask you something real quick. Have you ever sent a text to the completely wrong person and felt your soul leave your body? If you've ever felt that heart-stopping panic of, oh my God, what did I just do? Hit that like button right now, because trust me, you're going to feel every second of this story. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications, because this romance, it's dangerous, it's addictive, and it's about to consume you. Now, let's get into it. Jacinta Monroe was not having a good week. Scratch that, she wasn't having a good month. Her landlord had sent another passive-aggressive note about rent being preferably paid on time. Her design client had ghosted her after she'd spent 40 hours on mock-ups, and her best friend Keisha had been blowing up her phone all evening asking for advice about some guy who clearly wasn't worth the energy. But Jacinta answered anyway, because that's what she did. She showed up for people even when she was running on fumes. It was 12:47 a.m. when she finally collapsed onto her bed, still wearing the oversized band tee she'd thrown on after her shower. Her locks were wrapped in a silk scarf, her brown skin still glowing faintly from the cocoa butter she'd slathered on, and she was exhausted. Her phone buzzed again. Keisha. Girl, should I send him a pic or nah? Like something cute, but also… You know, Jacinta groaned into her pillow. Keisha, it's almost 1 a.m. Go to bed. But she knew her best friend. Keisha wouldn't go to bed. She'd spiral, overthink, and then send the pic anyway and regret it by morning. Jacinta, fine, but keep it classy. No full body, just a vibe. Keisha, show me what you mean, Jacinta sighed, rolling her eyes so hard she almost pulled a muscle. This girl. She stood up, adjusting her tee so it slipped just slightly off one shoulder. The mirror on her closet door reflected her, tired but still undeniably beautiful. Her legs were bare, smooth and long beneath the hem of the shirt. Her curves were soft, natural, the kind that didn't need filters or editing. She angled her phone, snapped a quick photo. Nothing crazy, just enough to show Keisha what a vibe looked like. She barely glanced at the screen as she hit send. Then she tossed her phone onto the bed and went to brush her teeth. Bai Seungri Park didn't sleep much. It wasn't insomnia, it was control. Sleep was vulnerability, and vulnerability was a luxury men like him couldn't afford. He sat in his office on the 43rd floor of his Seoul high-rise, the city sprawling beneath him like a kingdom he ruled from the shadows. His suit jacket was draped over the back of his chair. His shirt sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing forearms marked with faint scars that told stories he never spoke aloud. He was reviewing contracts when his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, expecting another message from one of his underbosses. Instead, it was a notification from a number he'd saved weeks ago, Jacinta Monroe, the designer. He'd hired her for a rebranding project, a front company that needed a refresh. She was talented, professional, and, if he was being honest, distractingly beautiful. He'd noticed her the first time she'd walked into his office for their initial consultation. The way she carried herself. Confident but not arrogant, focused but not cold. The way she'd looked him directly in the eye when most people couldn't hold his gaze for more than 3 seconds. He'd wanted her then, but he was a patient man. He opened the message and froze. The photo loaded slowly, pixel by pixel, and when it finally filled his screen, Bai Seungri leaned back in his chair, his jaw tightening. Jacinta, standing in front of a mirror, her shirt slipping off one shoulder, her legs bare and endless, her expression soft and unguarded in a way he'd never seen before. She wasn't posing, she wasn't performing, she was just… her. And she was breathtaking. He stared at the photo for a long moment, his thumb hovering over the screen. Then he typed, his lips curving into the faintest hint of a smile. Interesting mistake. He hit send. And waited. Jacinta came back into her bedroom, still brushing her teeth, and grabbed her phone to check if Keisha had responded. Her blood turned to ice. The message hadn't gone to Keisha. It had gone to Mr. Park, client. No, she whispered, toothbrush still in her mouth. No, 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 no. She dropped the toothbrush, her hands shaking as she stared at the screen. Mr. Park, client. She barely remembered him. He'd hired her a few weeks ago for some corporate design work. She'd met him once, maybe twice. He was intimidating, tall, sharp. The kind of man who made a room go quiet when he entered it. And she'd just sent him a half-naked photo meant for her best friend. Oh my God, oh my God. She tried to unsend it. Message cannot be unsent. She tried to delete it. Message delivered. She tried to block him. Her phone buzzed before she could finish. Mr. Park. Interesting mistake. Her heart stopped. Then it buzzed again. Mr. Park. Step outside your apartment. Jacinta's entire body went cold. She stared at the message, her breath coming in short. Shallow gasps. Step outside your apartment. She'd never given him her address. She'd never given him her address. Her hands were trembling so badly she almost dropped her phone. She backed away from the door, her mind racing. How does he know where I live? She peeked through the blinds, and her stomach dropped. A black car was parked directly outside her building. Sleek, expensive, tinted windows so dark she couldn't see inside. But she didn't need to. Someone was in there, waiting. Her phone buzzed again. Mr. Park. I'm not a patient man, Jacinta. She stumbled backward, her heart hammering so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. This is not happening. This is not happening. Another buzz. Unknown number. Open the door, Jacinta. Last warning. She looked at her front door, and then she heard it. A knock. Slow. Deliberate. Controlled. Someone was outside her apartment. Jacinta's back hit the wall, her phone clutched so tightly in her hand that her knuckles went pale. The knock came again. Slow. Controlled. Like whoever was on the other side had all the time in the world. Ms. Monroe? The voice was deep, calm, with a slight accent she couldn't place. Not threatening, but somehow that made it worse. I'm not here to hurt you. Mr. Park would like to speak with you. Jacinta's mind was racing. Call the police. Call Keisha. Climb out the fire escape. Do something. But her body wouldn't move. Another knock. Ms. Monroe, please don't make this difficult. The worst part? He sounded polite. Like he was delivering a package, not standing outside her door at 1 a.m. after his boss had somehow tracked down her address. She forced herself to breathe. Forced herself to think. If they wanted to hurt you, they would have already broken down the door. That thought didn't comfort her as much as she'd hoped. Slowly, carefully, she moved toward the door. Her hand hovered over the lock. Who are you? Her voice came out smaller than she wanted. My name is Min Jun. I work for Mr. Park. He asked me to deliver something to you. I don't want anything from him. I understand. But Mr. Park insists. There was a pause. Ms. Monroe, I'm going to slide my identification under your door. You can verify who I am. Then, if you're comfortable, you can open it. If not, I'll wait. A moment later, a sleek black card slid under her door. Jacinta picked it up with shaking hands. Min Jun Choi, Executive Security. Park Enterprises. The card was heavy, expensive. Embossed with gold lettering and a logo she vaguely recognized from the branding project. Her throat was dry. What does he want? To speak with you, that's all. I can talk on the phone. Mr. Park prefers in-person conversations. Well, Mr. Park can... She stopped herself, swallowing the curse that wanted to fly out. Pissing off whoever this was seemed like a bad idea. She closed her eyes, took a breath, and unlocked the door. She opened it just a crack. The man standing in her hallway was not what she expected. He was young, maybe early 30s, dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit. His expression was neutral, professional, unthreatening. But there was something about the way he stood, the way his eyes scanned her apartment in one quick sweep, that told her he was very dangerous. He held out a phone, not her phone. His. "Mr. Park would like to speak with you." Jacinta stared at the phone like it was a snake. Please, Ms. Monroe." There was something in his tone, not a threat, a request. She took the phone. The screen was already active, a video call connecting. And then, he appeared. Bae Seungri was exactly as she remembered, and somehow completely different. He sat in what looked like a private office, all dark wood and leather, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. His shirt was crisp white, unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled up. His dark hair was pushed back, a few strands falling across his forehead. But it was his eyes that made her breath catch, sharp, focused, intense in a way that made her feel like he could see straight through her. He studied her for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he smiled. It was slight, barely there, but it changed his entire face. "Ms. Monroe?" His voice was deeper than she remembered, smooth with a faint accent that made every word sound deliberate. "Mr. Park." She tried to sound calm, failed miserably. "What the hell is this?" "I believe you sent me something tonight." Her face went hot. "That was a mistake. I'm aware. So why are you—" She gestured wildly at the phone, at Min Jun standing patiently in her hallway, at the insanity of the entire situation. "Why are you doing this?" He tilted his head slightly, like he was genuinely considering the question. "Most women try very hard to get my attention," he said slowly. "They arrange meetings. They manufacture coincidences. They send things intentionally." He leaned forward slightly. His eyes locked on hers through the screen. You avoid it. You send me something beautiful. And then you panic. You try to delete it. Block me. Pretend it never happened." His smile widened, just a fraction. "That's interesting." Jacinta felt her temper flare through her fear. "I'm not trying to get your attention. I don't want your attention. I made a mistake, and now I'd like to forget about it and move on with my life." "I'm afraid that's not possible." "Why not?" "Because I don't forget things that interest me." The way he said it, so calm, so certain, made her skin prickle. "Look," she said, forcing herself to meet his gaze. "I'm sorry if I offended you or embarrassed you or whatever. But I'm not playing some game. I'm just a designer trying to pay rent." "That's it. I know. Then let me go back to my life." "No." The word was quiet, final. Jacinta felt her chest tighten. "What do you mean, no?" Baizengri leaned back in his chair, his expression shifting into something colder, more controlled. "You owe $4,300 in back rent," he said. "Your student loans are in deferment, but they won't stay that way much longer. You have 2 clients right now, one of whom just ghosted you. The other is me." Her blood went cold. "Your mother lives in Atlanta. She's a nurse. She's been picking up extra shifts to help cover your sister's medical bills. Your sister, Alana, 22, has lupus. She's doing better now, but the treatment is expensive." Jacinta couldn't breathe. "You leave for work every morning at 8:15. You take the subway. You stop at the corner cafe every Wednesday for a caramel latte, but you never get one on other days because you're trying to save money." He paused, his eyes never leaving hers. "You have a small scar on your left knee from when you fell off your bike at age 9. You hate cilantro. And you've been wearing the same pair of sneakers for 2 years because you keep putting off buying new ones." Jacinta felt tears burning behind her eyes, not from sadness, but from pure, unfiltered rage. "How dare you—" "I know everything about you, Jacinta," he said quietly. "And now you know that I know." She was shaking. "Why? Why would you—" "Because I wanted to." The simplicity of it was terrifying. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. His expression softened slightly. "Tomorrow morning, a car will pick you up at 9 a.m. You'll come to my office. We'll discuss your next project." "I don't want another project." "You need the money." "I don't need your money." "Yes," he said gently. "You do." She wanted to scream, to throw the phone, to tell him exactly where he could shove his money and his car and his audacity. But he was right. She did need the money, and he knew it. "What if I say no?" she asked, even though she already knew the answer. Bae Seungri's smile returned, soft and dangerous. "Don't run, Jacinta, I always find what's mine." The call ended. The screen went black. Min-jun reached out and took the phone back, his expression still neutral. "The car will be here at 9 a.m., Ms. Monroe. I'd suggest getting some rest." And then he turned and walked away, disappearing down the hallway like he'd never been there at all. Jacinta stood frozen in her doorway, her heart pounding, her mind reeling. I always find what's mine. She wasn't his. She'd never be his. But as she closed the door and locked it with trembling hands, she had the sinking feeling that Bae Seungri Park didn't care what she thought. He'd already decided. Across the city, Bae Seungri set his phone down and poured himself a glass of whiskey. He shouldn't have done that. He'd revealed too much, pushed too hard. But the way she'd looked at him through the screen, angry, terrified, defiant, had made something dark and possessive curl in his chest. She had no idea what she'd done to him with that photo. No idea that he'd been circling her for weeks, finding reasons to keep her close, inventing projects just to hear her voice. The photo hadn't started this. It had just made him stop pretending. He took a sip of whiskey, his eyes drifting to the window. Tomorrow she'd come to him. She'd argue. She'd push back. And he'd let her. Because watching Jacinta Monroe fight was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen. He just had to make sure she survived long enough to keep doing it. His phone buzzed. A message from his head of security. "Sir, we've picked up chatter. Someone's asking questions about the woman who visited your residence last month." Bae Seungri's jaw tightened. So it was already starting. He typed back quickly. "Double her security. She doesn't leave the apartment without eyes on her." Understood. He set the phone down and drained his glass. Jacinta Monroe had no idea what kind of world she'd just stepped into, but she would. Soon. Jacinta didn't sleep. She spent the entire night pacing her apartment, alternating between rage and panic, her mind spinning through every possible scenario. Call the police. And tell them what? That a client knew too much about her? That he'd sent someone to her door but hadn't actually threatened her? Run. Where? With what money? And how far could she get before he found her because he would find her? He'd made that abundantly clear. Ignore him. Don't get in the car. Don't answer his calls. Just pretend none of this happened. But even as she thought it, she knew it was impossible. He knew where she lived, where she worked, where her mother lived. The bastard had her trapped, and he knew it. By the time the sun rose, Jacinta had made her decision. She'd go, she'd meet with him, she'd hear whatever manipulative offer he had prepared. And then she'd find a way out. She dressed carefully, a simple black jumpsuit that was professional but not provocative. Her locks pulled back into a neat bun, minimal makeup. She wanted to look put together, in control, even if she felt like she was falling apart. At 8:55 a.m., she looked out her window. The black car was already there. Of course it was. She grabbed her bag, locked her apartment, and walked downstairs with her head high. Min-jun was waiting beside the car, looking exactly as composed as he had the night before. "Good morning, Ms. Monroe." "Is it?" she muttered. He almost smiled. Almost. He opened the door for her, and she slid into the back seat, her heart hammering. The interior was all black leather and tinted windows. Expensive. Suffocating. As the car pulled away from her building, Jacinta stared out the window, watching her neighborhood disappear. What am I doing? The drive took 30 minutes. They left the city proper and wound up into the hills, where the houses got bigger and the gates got higher. When they finally stopped, Jacinta's breath caught. It wasn't an office building. It was a home. No, a fortress. Modern architecture, all glass and steel and sharp lines, surrounded by walls and security cameras. The gate rolled open silently as they approached, and the car glided up a long driveway lined with perfectly manicured trees. "This isn't an office," Jacinta said slowly. "Mr. Park works from home frequently," Min-jun replied. "He thought you'd be more comfortable here." Comfortable. Right. The car stopped in front of the main entrance, and Min-jun opened her door. Jacinta stepped out, her legs unsteady, and stared up at the building. This is a mistake. This is a huge mistake. But she was already here. The front door opened before they reached it. Another guard, this one older with a scar across his cheek, nodded at Min-jun and then gestured for Jacinta to follow. They walked through a massive foyer with marble floors and a chandelier that probably cost more than her entire life. Down a hallway lined with abstract art, past rooms she couldn't see into. And then they stopped in front of a set of double doors. The guard knocked once. "Come in." That voice, deep, controlled, the voice that had haunted her all night. The guard opened the doors and Jacinta stepped inside. Bae Seungri's home office was exactly what she'd expected. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, a desk that looked like it cost more than a car, bookshelves lined with titles in Korean, English, and Japanese. Everything was pristine, controlled, deliberate. And standing behind the desk, hands in his pockets, was him. He looked different in person, taller than she remembered, broader through the shoulders. He wore all black, slacks, a fitted shirt with the sleeves rolled up, no tie. His dark hair was styled back, but a few pieces had fallen forward, softening the sharp angles of his face. But it was his eyes that pinned her in place. Dark, intense, focused entirely on her. "Jacinta," he said her name like he was tasting it. "Thank you for coming." Did I have a choice? His lips curved. No. At least he was honest. He gestured to a chair in front of his desk. "Sit, please." She didn't want to sit. She wanted to run. But she sat. He moved around the desk and leaned against it, standing just a few feet away from her. Close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and woodsy that made her head spin. "I have a proposition for you," he said. "I don't want it." "You haven't heard it yet?" "I don't care." He tilted his head, studying her. "You're angry. You stalked me. I researched you. You know where my mother lives. I know everything." He said it so casually, like it was normal. "It's how I stay alive." That stopped her. "What?" He pushed off the desk and walked to the window, his hands sliding back into his pockets. "I'm not just a businessman, Jacinta. I'm sure you've figured that out by now." She had. Sort of. The security, the guards, the way everyone around him moved with military precision, it all pointed to something darker than corporate branding. "What are you?" she asked quietly. He turned to face her. And for the first time, she saw something unguarded in his expression. "Dangerous." The word hung between them. "Then why am I here?" "Because I want you here." Her pulse jumped. "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." He moved back toward her and she forced herself not to flinch as he crouched down in front of her chair, bringing them eye to eye. This close, she could see the faint scar along his jawline, the way his eyes had flecks of gold in them, the tension in his shoulders like he was holding himself back from something. "I need a designer," he said quietly. "Someone I can trust. Someone who won't ask questions they don't want the answers to." "And you think that's me?" "I know it's you." "How?" "Because you sent me that photo by mistake, and you tried to run. You didn't try to leverage it. Didn't try to use it for gain. You just wanted it to disappear." His eyes searched hers. "That tells me everything I need to know about who you are." Jacinta's throat was tight. "You don't know me." "I know enough." He reached up slowly, carefully, and his fingers brushed against her collarbone. She froze. He was adjusting her necklace, a simple gold chain that had twisted, but the touch felt impossibly intimate. His fingers were warm against her skin, and when he pulled away, she could still feel the ghost of his touch. "I'm offering you a 6-month contract," he said, his voice lower now. "Design work for multiple properties. $150,000. Half up front." Her brain stuttered. "What?" That's enough to cover your rent, your debts, and send money to your mother. She stared at him. That's insane. No one pays that much for... I do. Why? His gaze drifted just for a second, down to where her jumpsuit dipped at the neckline, then back up to her eyes. Because I want you close. Heat flooded through her. Anger, fear, and something else she refused to name. I'm not sleeping with you, she said flatly. His smile was slow, devastating. I didn't ask you to. Then what? Work for me. Let me keep you safe, and we'll see where things go. Safe from what? His expression darkened. From people who would hurt you to get to me. Her stomach dropped. What are you talking about? He stood towering over her again. The moment you walked into my office for that first consultation, people noticed. The moment you left my home after our last meeting, you were photographed. And the moment I showed interest in you, which I did, whether you knew it or not, you became a target. Jacinta felt sick. I didn't ask for this. I know, his voice softened. But it's done, and now I need to protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Not yet. The certainty in his voice made her want to scream, but before she could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his entire demeanor changed. The softness vanished. His jaw tightened. His eyes went cold. We're done for today, he said sharply. Minjun will take you home. What? What's wrong? Nothing you need to worry about. You just told me I'm a target, and now, Jacinta. He looked at her, and the intensity in his gaze stole her breath. Go home. Lock your doors. Don't go anywhere alone. I'll handle this. Handle what? But he was already walking toward the door, pulling out his phone, barking orders in rapid Korean. Minjun appeared at her side. Ms. Monroe, this way. She wanted to argue, to demand answers. But the look on Bai Seungri's face told her this wasn't the time. As the car pulled away from his home, Jacinta's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it, and her blood ran cold. It was a photo of her, leaving Bai Seungri's house just minutes ago. And below it, a single line of text. You won't survive beside him. Jacinta stared at the photo until her vision blurred. Someone had been watching her, photographing her, and they wanted her to know it. Her hands shook as she took a screenshot and immediately texted Bai Seungri. Jacinta. Someone just sent me this. She attached the image. 3 dots appeared almost instantly. Then her phone rang. She answered on the first ring. Where are you? His voice was sharp, controlled, but she could hear the edge beneath it. In the car. Minjun is driving me home. Show him the message. Now. She leaned forward and held out her phone. Minjun glanced at it, and his expression went dark. He immediately spoke into his earpiece in rapid Korean, and the car accelerated. Jacinta. Bai Seungri's voice pulled her back. Listen to me. When you get home, pack a bag. Essentials only. You have 10 minutes. What? Why? Because you're not staying there tonight. You can't just... Yes, I can. His tone left no room for argument. Someone is watching you. Someone who wants to send a message. And I'm not letting you stay in an apartment with one lock and windows that face the street. Fear clawed up her throat. Where am I supposed to go? There was a pause. Here. With me. Absolutely not. It's not a request. I don't care. Her voice cracked. I didn't ask for any of this. I sent you a photo by mistake and now someone is threatening me. How is that fair? It's not. His voice softened just slightly. But it's real, and I'm not letting anything happen to you. Why? She whispered. Why do you even care? Another pause. Longer this time. Because I do. It wasn't an explanation, but somehow it was everything. The call ended. By the time they reached her apartment, there were 2 more cars waiting. Guards. At least 4 of them. Minjun escorted her inside, and 2 guards followed, their eyes constantly scanning the hallway, the stairwell, the shadows. Jacinta felt like she was in a movie. A bad movie. 10 minutes, Ms. Monroe, Minjun reminded her gently. She nodded numbly and stumbled into her apartment. It looked the same as she'd left it that morning. Small, cramped, safe. Except it didn't feel safe anymore. She grabbed a duffel bag and started throwing things in: clothes, toiletries, her laptop, chargers. Her hands were shaking so badly she kept dropping things. This isn't real. This can't be real. But the photo on her phone said otherwise. A knock at the door made her jump. "Ms. Monroe, we need to go." She zipped the bag, took one last look at her apartment, and walked out. The drive back to Bai Seungri's home felt longer this time. Jacinta sat in silence, her bag on her lap, her mind racing. Who would do this? Why? What do they want? When they arrived, Min-jun led her inside, not to the office, but up a grand staircase to the second floor. He stopped in front of a door and opened it. "This is your room. Mr. Park's room is at the end of the hall. If you need anything, press the button on the bedside table and someone will come." She stepped inside. The room was beautiful. Huge windows overlooking the city, a king-sized bed with soft white linens, a sitting area with a couch and a bookshelf, an ensuite bathroom that was bigger than her entire apartment. "There's a lock on the door," Min-jun said quietly. "You're safe here, Ms. Monroe." She nodded, unable to speak. He left, closing the door behind him. Jacinta stood in the middle of the room, her bag still in her hands, and finally let herself break. She sank onto the bed and buried her face in her hands. How did this happen? Bae Seungri found her an hour later. He knocked once, then opened the door without waiting for permission. She looked up. Her eyes red, but her expression defiant. "You can't just walk in here. It's my house. It's my room." He almost smiled. Almost. He closed the door behind him and leaned against it, studying her. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Scared?" "Yes." He nodded slowly. "Good. Fear keeps you careful." "I don't want to be careful. I want to go home." "You can't." "Because of you." "Yes." He didn't deny it. "Because of me." She stood, her fists clenched. "Who are you? Really?" He considered her for a long moment, then he walked further into the room, stopping a few feet away. "My family controls most of the imports and exports in Seoul," he said quietly. "Legal and not legal. We have enemies, rivals, people who would love nothing more than to see me fail. So you're a criminal. I'm a businessman who operates in grey areas. That's the same thing." "Perhaps." She stared at him, her chest tight. "And now they think I'm... What? Your girlfriend? Your weakness?" "Yes, but I'm not." His eyes darkened. "They don't know that." "Then tell them. It won't matter." He stepped closer. "The moment you became associated with me, you became valuable. To them. To me. I'm not valuable to you." "You are." "Why?" She threw her hands up. "Because of a stupid photo?" "No." His voice dropped, rough and honest. "Because I wanted you long before that photo. The photo just made me stop pretending I didn't." The air between them felt electric. Jacinta's heart was pounding. "You don't even know me." "I know enough. You know facts." "That's not the same thing." "Then let me know more." He reached up slowly, giving her time to pull away, and tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers lingered against her cheek. "Stay here. Let me keep you safe, and let me learn who you are." She should say no. She should run. But the way he was looking at her, like she was the only thing in the world that mattered, made it impossible to move. "I don't trust you," she whispered. "I know. I don't want this. I know that too." "Then why?" "Because I'm selfish." His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. "And I want you anyway." Her breath hitched, and before she could stop herself, she leaned into his touch, just for a second, just long enough to feel his warmth. Then she pulled away. "I need time," she said, her voice shaking. "You have it. And space. Within reason. And answers. Real ones." He nodded. "Ask me anything." "Not now." She was too tired, too overwhelmed. "But soon. Whenever you're ready." He stepped back, giving her room to breathe. "There are guards outside your door," he said, "and cameras on every entrance. No one gets in without my knowledge." "That's supposed to make me feel better?" "Yes." She almost laughed. "Almost?" He walked to the door, then paused, his hand on the handle. "Jacinta." "Yeah?" He looked back at her, and the intensity in his eyes stole her breath. I meant what I said. You're safe here. I'll make sure of it. And then he left. That night, Jacinta couldn't sleep. She tried. She really did. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw that photo. The message. You won't survive beside him. Around 2 a.m., she gave up and padded downstairs in her pajamas, an oversized t-shirt and shorts. The house was quiet but not empty. She could feel the presence of guards, even if she couldn't see them. She found the kitchen and started making tea just to have something to do with her hands. Can't sleep. She spun around, her heart leaping into her throat. Bai Seungri stood in the doorway, dressed in black sweatpants and a fitted t-shirt that showed off arms she'd only seen hints of before. He looked human, softer, tired. You scared me, she said, her hand on her chest. Sorry. He walked into the kitchen, moving around her like he did this every night. He pulled down a mug and started making tea, for himself, and then, without asking, one for her too. They stood in silence as the water boiled. Do you ever sleep? She asked finally. Not much. Why? Old habits. He poured the water, added honey to hers without asking. How does he know I like honey? And handed her the mug. And lately? Other distractions. She took the mug, her fingers brushing his. What kind of distractions? His eyes met hers. The kind that send photos at midnight and then try to run. Her face heated. I wasn't trying to run. You were. Can you blame me? No. They sipped their tea in silence. Thank you, she said quietly. For the tea. And for everything else. You don't need to thank me. I do. Even if I don't want to be here, I know you're trying to protect me. He set his mug down and turned to face her fully. Jacinta, I need you to understand something. What? This isn't temporary. These people, the ones who sent you that photo, they don't give up. They don't forget. Her stomach twisted. So what am I supposed to do? Stay close to me. For how long? As long as it takes. She laughed bitterly. So I'm just stuck? In your house, in your world, because I made one stupid mistake? Yes. The honesty of it hurt. That's not fair. No, he agreed. It's not. He stepped closer and she could smell that cologne again, woodsy and dark and dangerously intoxicating. But I'm not letting you go, her pulse hammered. You can't keep me here. I can, and I will. That's necessary. His hand came up, cupping her jaw, and she froze. Because the thought of something happening to you makes me want to burn the world down. Her breath caught. You don't even know me, she whispered again. Then stay. His thumb brushed across her bottom lip. Let me know you. Let me keep you safe. And maybe eventually you'll stop fighting this. Fighting what? Whatever this is between us. His face was so close now, so close she could feel his breath. There's nothing between us, she said, but her voice betrayed her. Liar. And then his phone buzzed. He cursed under his breath in Korean and pulled away, checking the screen. His expression went hard. What is it? She asked. Someone tried to break into your old apartment 20 minutes ago. Her blood went cold. The police are there now. But Jacinta. He looked at her, and for the first time she saw something like fear in his eyes. They left a note. What did it say? He hesitated. Then he showed her his phone. A photo from one of his men at the scene, a piece of paper taped to her door. We know where she is now, and we're coming. The note changed everything. Bai Seungri made a phone call that lasted 3 minutes, speaking in rapid Korean, his voice cold and controlled in a way that made Jacinta's skin prickle. When he hung up, he turned to her. Pack your things. We're moving you to the penthouse. What? I just got here. This house is secure, but it's known. The penthouse is off the books. Untraceable. He was already walking toward the stairs, expecting her to follow. 5 minutes, Jacinta. You can't just keep moving me around like... He spun around so fast she nearly ran into him. They tried to break into your apartment. His voice was low, dangerous. They left a note saying they know where you are. Do you understand what that means? She swallowed hard. That they're watching. That they're hunting. His jaw tightened. And I'm not giving them a chance to find you. 20 minutes later, Jacinta was in the back of an SUV with tinted windows so dark she couldn't see outside. Bae Seungri sat beside her, his body tense, his phone in his hand as he coordinated with his security team. 2 cars followed them. 1 led the way. It felt like a convoy, like she was a diplomat in a war zone. Maybe I am. The penthouse was downtown, nestled at the top of a luxury high-rise that required 3 separate security clearances just to access the elevator. When they finally stepped inside, Jacinta stopped in her tracks. It was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the entire city. Modern furniture in shades of black, white and grey, a kitchen with marble countertops, a living room that could fit her entire apartment 3 times over. And it felt empty. Do you live here? She asked quietly. Sometimes. He set her bag down near the hallway. When I need privacy. From who? Everyone. He walked to the windows, his hands in his pockets, his shoulders tight. Jacinta watched him, this man who had upended her entire life in less than 48 hours. Why are you doing this? She asked. I already told you. No. You told me you wanted me. That's not the same as risking your life for me. He turned, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. If something happened to you because of me? He trailed off, his jaw working. I wouldn't forgive myself. You barely know me. That doesn't change anything. She wanted to argue, to tell him he was being irrational, but the rawness in his voice stopped her. How long do I have to stay here? She asked instead. Until it's safe. And when will that be? When I've eliminated the threat. The way he said it, so matter-of-fact, so final, sent a chill down her spine. What does that mean? He didn't answer. Bae Seungri. She walked toward him, forcing him to look at her. What are you going to do? What I have to. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. She stared at him, frustration and fear warring in her chest. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me. They won't. His hand came up, cupping her face with a gentleness that contrasted sharply with the violence in his words. I promise you, Jacinta, no one will touch you. But what about you? His eyes softened. Worried about me? Don't flatter yourself. But they both knew she was lying. The first night in the penthouse was the longest of Jacinta's life. She tried to sleep in the guest room Bae Seungri had shown her. Another beautiful, sterile space that felt nothing like home. But every sound made her jump. Every shadow felt like a threat. Around 3 a.m. she gave up and wandered into the kitchen. She was halfway through making tea when she heard footsteps behind her. You should be sleeping. She didn't turn around. So should you. Bae Seungri moved into the kitchen, and she felt the heat of him before she saw him. He was wearing sweatpants again, shirtless this time, and Jacinta's brain short-circuited for a second. His chest was broad, defined, marked with a few scars that told stories she suddenly desperately wanted to know. Can't sleep? He asked, his voice rough with exhaustion. Can you? No. He reached past her for a mug, and his arm brushed against hers. She shivered. He noticed. Cold? No. Then what? She turned to face him, and the proximity stole her breath. I'm scared, she admitted. And I hate that I'm scared, and I hate that you're the only person who makes me feel even a little bit safe right now. His expression shifted, something dark and possessive flickering in his eyes. Why do you hate that? Because I shouldn't need you. I should be able to handle this on my own. You can't. He set his mug down and stepped closer. And that's not weakness, Jacinta. That's reality. It feels like weakness. It's not. His hand came up, tucking a lock behind her ear. It's trust. Even if you don't want to admit it yet. Her heart was pounding. I don't trust you. You're a terrible liar. I'm serious. So am I. And then his hand slid to the back of her neck, and he pulled her closer. Not kissing her, just holding her. His forehead rested against hers, and they breathed the same air. I know you're scared, he murmured. I know you hate this, but I need you to believe me when I say I won't let anything happen to you. How can you promise that? Because I'm very good at what I do. And what's that? Keeping what's mine. She should pull away, should remind him that she wasn't his, but instead she let herself lean into him. Just for a moment, just long enough to pretend she wasn't alone. The next few days blurred together. Jacinta stayed in the penthouse while Bai Seungri came and went at odd hours, always surrounded by guards, always tense. He wouldn't tell her what he was doing, wouldn't explain the bruises that started appearing on his knuckles or the exhaustion that lined his face. But he was there every night, making her tea, sitting with her when she couldn't sleep, filling the silence with his presence. And slowly, dangerously, she started to crave it. One evening, she found him on the couch, his head tipped back, his eyes closed. There was blood on his shirt collar. "You're hurt," she said, her voice sharp with worry. His eyes opened. "It's nothing." "That's not nothing." She crossed to him, kneeling beside the couch. "Let me see." Jacinta, "Let me see." He sighed and sat up, pulling his shirt over his head. There was a gash on his shoulder, not deep, but angry and red. What happened? A disagreement? A disagreement that involved knives? Something like that. She disappeared into the bathroom and came back with a first aid kit. "This is going to sting," she warned. "I've had worse." She cleaned the wound carefully, her hands steady even though her heart was racing. He watched her the entire time, his gaze so intense she could feel it like a physical touch. "You don't have to do this," he said quietly. "I know." "Then why are you?" She didn't look up. "Because you keep protecting me. The least I can do is clean a cut." "That's not why." Her hands stilled. "Then why?" "Because you care." She finally met his eyes, and she couldn't deny it. "I shouldn't. I know. You're dangerous. I know that too. This is a bad idea. Probably the worst." But neither of them moved away. His hand came up, his fingers tracing the line of her jaw. "Jacinta, don't. Don't what? Don't make me want this." His thumb brushed across her bottom lip. Too late. And then he kissed her. Slow, deep, devastating. His hand slid into her hair, tilting her head back, and she gasped against his mouth. He tasted like whiskey and danger and something she couldn't name but suddenly couldn't live without. She kissed him back, her hands gripping his shoulders, feeling the muscles tense beneath her touch. When they finally broke apart, they were both breathing hard. "We shouldn't," she started. "I don't care." "Bae Seungri. I've wanted you since the moment you walked into my office." His voice was rough, raw. "I've fought it. I've tried to keep my distance, but I'm done pretending. This is insane. I know. I'm still mad at you. I know that too. And I don't forgive you for dragging me into this. I wouldn't expect you to." She stared at him, her chest heaving, her mind spinning. "What happens now?" "Now." He pulled her onto his lap, and she went willingly. "Now I finish what I started. I eliminate the threat. And then what?" His lips curved against her neck. "Then I convince you to stay." 2 days later, everything exploded. Jacinta woke to the sound of shouting. She stumbled out of bed, her heart pounding, and found Bae Seungri in the living room surrounded by his guards. "What's happening?" He turned, and the look on his face made her blood run cold. "They found us." "What?" "The building is surrounded. They're demanding I come down, or they're coming up." Her legs nearly gave out. "How many?" "Enough." One of the guards spoke rapidly in Korean, and Bae Seungri's expression darkened. He barked orders and the guards dispersed. Then he crossed to Jacinta and gripped her shoulders. "Listen to me very carefully. There's a safe room behind the bookshelf. Minjun is going to take you there. You're going to lock the door and you're not going to open it for anyone but me. Do you understand?" "What are you going to do?" "What I should have done from the beginning." "Bae Seungri." "Jacinta." His hands framed her face. "I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" She stared into his eyes, those dark, intense eyes that had haunted her for days. "Yes," she whispered. He kissed her, hard, desperate. "Stay alive," he murmured against her lips. "That's all I need you to do." "You too," he almost smiled. Then Minjun was there, pulling her toward the bookshelf. She looked back just in time to see Bae Seungri pull a gun from a drawer and disappear toward the elevator. The safe room was small and soundproof. Jacinta sat in the darkness, her phone clutched in her hand, listening to nothing. Please be okay. Please be okay. Please. Time became meaningless. It could have been minutes or hours. And then the door opened. She scrambled backward, her heart in her throat, but it was him, Bae Seungri, alive. Covered in blood, some his, some not, but alive. She launched herself at him and he caught her, his arms wrapping around her so tightly she could barely breathe. You're okay, she sobbed into his chest. You're okay. I told you I would be. I thought, I know. He pulled back just enough to look at her. It's over, Jacinta, they're gone. All of them. Gone. Dead or arrested. The ones who survive won't come near you again. She stared at him, trying to process. So I'm safe? Yes. The word hit her like a wave. She was safe. It was over. She could go home. But as she looked up at Bae Seungri, this dangerous, impossible man who had turned her world upside down, she realized something terrifying. She didn't want to leave. 3 days passed in a strange, quiet limbo. The threats were neutralized. The rival gang was dismantled. The police were paid off or given just enough information to close the case without asking questions. Jacinta should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt lost. Bae Seungri had been distant since that night, polite, careful. He'd moved her back to his main residence, given her space, stopped hovering, and she hated it. She found him in his office late one evening, staring out at the city. You've been avoiding me, she said. He didn't turn around. I've been giving you space. I didn't ask for space. You should have. She walked closer. Why? Because it's over, Jacinta. You're safe now. You can go back to your life. What if I don't want to? That made him turn. His eyes were guarded, careful. What are you saying? I'm saying... She took a breath. I'm saying that I know I should want to leave. I know I should be running as far away from you as possible. But I can't stop thinking about you. The words tumbled out before she could stop them. I can't stop replaying every conversation, every touch, every moment, and I hate it because it doesn't make sense, but He crossed to her in 3 strides and kissed her. Deep, hungry, like he'd been holding back for days and finally couldn't anymore. She melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. I noticed you months ago, he said roughly. The first time you came to my office. The way you looked at me. No fear, no deference, just focus. Like I was a problem you were going to solve. She laughed breathlessly. That's because you were. I wanted you then, but I'm not a good man, Jacinta. I knew if I touched you, I wouldn't be able to stop. And the photo? The photo broke me. His thumb brushed across her cheekbone. I saw you, really saw you, and I couldn't pretend anymore, couldn't stay away. So you stalked me, yes, and manipulated me into working for you, yes, and trapped me in your world, yes. He leaned his forehead against hers, and I'd do it all again if it meant keeping you alive. She should be angry, should push him away, but instead, she kissed him again. This is crazy, she whispered against his lips. I know. I'm still mad at you. I know. And we have a lot to figure out. I know that too. But his hands were sliding into her hair, and hers were pulling at his shirt, and suddenly nothing else mattered. He lifted her onto his desk, and she wrapped her legs around his waist. Tell me to stop, he murmured against her neck. No. Jacinta, I want this. I want you. That was all he needed. His mouth claimed hers again, hungrier this time, and she arched into him. His hands roamed her body, reverent but desperate, and when he finally pulled back to look at her, his eyes were dark with want. Are you sure? Stop asking me that and just... He kissed her again, swallowing her words, and she let herself fall. Later, much later, they lay tangled together on the couch in his office, the city lights casting soft shadows across their skin. Jacinta traced the scar on his shoulder. "Tell me about this one," she said quietly. "A fight, years ago." "And this one?" She touched another scar, this one across his ribs. "A disagreement with a rival." "Do all your disagreements end in knives?" "Most of them." She propped herself up on one elbow, looking down at him. "I still don't fully understand your world." "You don't need to." "But I want to." His hand came up, cupping her face. "It's violent, it's dangerous, and it's not going to change." "I know. Are you sure you want this? Want me?" She thought about it. Really thought about it. About the fear, the chaos, the absolute insanity of the past week. But also about the way he looked at her, the way he'd protected her, the way he made her feel seen in a way no one else ever had. "No more mistakes," she whispered. His lips curved. "Good." He pulled her down into another kiss, slow and deep. "Because this time," he murmured against her mouth, "you chose me." "Yeah," she breathed. "I did." And for the first time in days, Jacinta felt like she could finally breathe. You know what's wild? How one split second, one accidental text, one wrong number, one moment of not paying attention can completely change your life. Jacinta thought she was just living her regular everyday life, struggling with rent, taking care of her family, just trying to make it through. And then one mistake pulled her into a world she never imagined. But here's the thing, sometimes the scariest moments lead us exactly where we're supposed to be. Sometimes the chaos is what brings clarity. And sometimes, the person who turns your world upside down is the same person who teaches you what it means to be truly seen. If this story made you feel something, if you felt that panic, that tension, that undeniable pull between two people who were never supposed to meet, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment telling me what you thought. Did you see yourself in Jacinta? Have you ever had a moment where everything changed in an instant? And if you want more stories like this, stories about women who are strong, flawed, real, and navigating love in the messiest, most beautiful ways, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications. Because trust me, we're just getting started. Thank you for riding this journey with me. Thank you for feeling every moment with Jacinta and Bay Seungri. And remember, your story is still being written. Don't be afraid of the plot twists. I'll see you in the next one.